Hi there, and welcome to the Neckpour. My name's Lewis, and welcome to the Whisky Review channel, where I give you my thoughts and opinions on a particular bottle of whisky, from the Neckpour all the way down to the dregs. And you join me here for a momentous bottle, the first bottle in my new house. Might be slightly echoey, as it's just me, the camera, the table, and nothing else in this room. So it is a little bit bare, but this was the room with the least boxes in, so it made the sense to be the one that I filmed in tonight. We literally moved in yesterday, so it's pretty fresh off the press. But yeah, let's get into this. Marking a pretty momentous occasion. It's a bottle that's been a bit of a milestone for me, really. This is the first bottle of whiskey I've ever bought at auction, and it's my first ever Ardbeg Commitee release. And to be quite honest, I think it might be the first bottle of Ardbeg I've ever owned. I've had drams of various bits and bobs in bars, etc., but I don't think I've ever owned a full bottle of Ardbeg before. So I'd be interested to get into this. You know, it's a big, bolshy strength, big, powerful whiskey, and not necessarily always my go-to kind of style, that kind of big, meaty, peaty, aggressive style. But I'd heard really good things about this one, particularly on the Uncut and Unfiltered podcast, which I'd just seen their episode where they mentioned this, and they kept repeatedly referring to this as really good Ardbeg. So I thought it seemed something pretty interesting, and I wanted to get involved in and pick this up at a great price. And talking of price, delivered with all the fees, this was 42, 43 quid. I'll double check and put it in the stats with a little bit of B-roll I film of it. But yeah, I mean, at that price, you can't really go too far wrong, to be quite honest with you. I was, delighted to pick this up and super interested to see what it's like. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get it poured and see what we think. Let's have a little listen to the cork first. Pretty nice, pretty nice. So yeah, this is an 8-year-old Ardbeg called For Discussion is the name of it. It's a committee release that is 50.8%. I think it's pretty much exclusively bourbon barrel matured, not 100% certain. I'll do a little bit more research before I post the video, and certainly before I post the dregs on this bottle, when I've got to know it a bit better. And it's that real kind of straw yellow in colour, really light. And yeah, I mean, from here, I'm getting a lot of smell already, and I can see there's a lot of oil in that glass, and it actually smells wonderful. There's a really vegetal note to that peat to me. It's that kind of mushrooms, that earthy, that Dunwich warehouse kind of damp, dark, earthy kind of thing. And then there's something a bit brighter just kind of shining through. Not entirely certain what it is that's shining through, but it's something pretty interesting. I mean, they don't tell you a huge amount on the bottle, as I think they don't with a lot of these committee releases. Just talks about it being a classic. It's the ultimate island malt. And I think if you have a look online, if you scan the QR code that's on the bottle, there's a bit more information. And yeah, mentioning that something brighter, as soon as I read the bottle, it says fennel on the front of it. And straight away I can pick up sort of aniseed, but fresh fennel in a kind of salad sort of sense. Yeah, it's really quite a nice nose, and perhaps not quite as aggressive as I thought it was going to be. So let's have a little sip and see what we think. super ashy, right at the front of the mouth, kind of real bonfire, and there's a slight verging on a tar, kind of a bitumen-y, tarry, like burning telephone poles, you know? It's burning treated wood almost on a fire. With, again, there's just a little bit of almost mustiness of something in there, in that kind of mushroomy, earthy sort of way. But then there's a real kind of sweet backbone to it that's quite disarming. And that is, I can still feel it just from that first sip. We're down to about the belly button, and I'm just warm from here down to there. That's a real kind of warming, wonderful winter's dram with this. And so this is its, mid-20s outside, but no, that's lovely. And actually, after taking a little sip of this, the nose is much lighter and much less peat on the nose, actually, because now that my palate's sort of slightly acclimatized to it, I'm picking out a bit more kind of citrusy. And that fennel note could even be kind of sort of coleslaw and lemon juice, like a non-mayo based coleslaw, just like finely chopped vegetables dressed in lemon juice with a bit of olive oil on the nose, which are really odd tasting note and really quite specific, but that is what I'm getting, and it's lovely. And yeah, once you know that ash is coming and you're not surprised by it, because the first sip, that was kind of all I got. It's that lifting the cover off a barbecue kind of thing after you've used it the day before and you're going to clean it, and just those few little bits of loose ash waft up into your face. It's that kind of thing. There's a slight kind of tarmacy bitumen kind of thing going on the palate. And then once that goes, there's a lovely kind of sweetness and kind of malty warmth that comes through that's really lovely. And I'm actually really salivating from this. It's really kind of getting my mouth going. It's wonderful. And then the finish for this is much smoother and warmer. It's almost, you could almost think of it as spiced because you've got so much hot, hard flavour at the front of your mouth that the back end of it is so soft and light, but you've still got that kind of heat in your mouth from the front that it's almost like a really soft spice. And you could think of it as, could almost be a kind of like a burnt peppercorn that you're getting on the finish, along with a kind of toffee vanilla sweetness, which again is just putting me more towards, this is mostly bourbon matured, because it's got a lovely kind of, those toffee butterscotchy things on the finish. And then again, lemons. There's loads of lemons in this. Again, on the finish, there's a real citrus brightness. Could be a lemon, could be not massively sweet orange, not entirely sure. I think it's more of a lemon, but it's not too sharp. But yeah, that's absolutely cracking, and the price that I got it for is ridiculous. But being from auction, I'm not going to post anything about where I bought this. And I want it to be known that that's not for this is where I got a really good bargain. I'm trying to keep other people away from it. But because I don't know enough about whiskey auctions to know whether where I bought it is particularly legitimate or not. I will do a bit more research over the coming few months and keep an eye on their future auctions. You might see more bottles come, but you know, in the cask world, in the bottle investment world, there are some unscrupulous people. And I want to make sure if I do recommend anywhere to purchase to you guys, that I know that I'm recommending something that's good to you and that I'm not sending you to somewhere where it's run by bad people doing bad things and any of you guys are going to get ripped off, because that's not what I'm all about. But yeah, to sum up, this is an absolute stunner of a whiskey. I'm super excited to have picked it up, super excited for the price. And again, if any more of the Ardbeg limited releases, committee releases, or just bottles I see at good prices, it's certainly now the one that's on my radar, because again, it's not always my normal style of whiskey. But if this is what their limited edition stuff is like, crikey, I definitely want to get involved in more bottles, because this is really good. I think, again, once this has been drunk down a bit further, it's spent a bit of time, got a bit of air in the bottle, and the whiskey's oxidized and opened up, I think this is only going to get better. But no, this is stunning whiskey, really enjoying it. And yeah, if you guys see a bottle of this at a good price, jump all over it. You won't regret it. But I think that's where we'll leave today's video. I've got this to finish up before I get back to unpacking boxes. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please drop me a like below. If you want to leave me a comment, if you've got any thoughts about Ardbeg, if you've got any thoughts about whiskey auctions that you guys trust, or if you've just got any recommendations for things you'd like to see me review, please leave them below and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified next time I post. And share the video on my channel with your friends if there's anyone you think would be interested in watching my content. Other than that, that's all for today, and I'd love to see you next time for the Neckpour, the dregs, or just my general thoughts on whiskey. Until the next time, I'd like to say cheers, Salancha, and I'll see you again.